Hello, everyone. Jared Hoffman here with another edition of the Better Than Less Than podcast. Appreciate you all for joining me on this Thursday afternoon. If you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. Please subscribe to become a level 1, 2, or 3 member so you can get some exclusive content from the HBCU Sports team. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Search up HBCU Sports on all of them: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, and all of those. Search up HBCU Sports, and you'll find us there. And you can always go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news in HBCU sports. Football season is coming, guys. It's coming. Next Saturday, we will be kicking off the HBCU sports season. And shout out to Adrian Crook says, I'm here for D2 football until further notice. I would like PV to be covered as a D2. Wow. It doesn't matter what show you have on any HBCU sports channel. You're always going to get some shade, and that Adrian Crook knows how to provide that shade in our comments. But the HBCU football season is coming up next Saturday. Will be the kickoff of the MEAC SWAT Challenge. You got to wait a little while for the D2 football season to get going. It doesn't get started until the following Saturday, the last Saturday of the month. Well, we have a full slate of games to start the HBCU football season. But as you can see by the title of this video, we are going to be breaking down every HBCU football classic happening in the 2025 season at the Division I level. Everybody is familiar with HBCU football classics. They know about the Labor Day Classic between Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern. They know about the Boombox Classic between Jackson State and Southern. They know about what's another one? They have the Magic City Classic between Alabama A&M and Alabama State, and there's the Florida Classic between Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. But not so many people focus on the Division II football classics, and that's what we're going to be breaking down here. You can also go to hbcusports.com because I put together a comprehensive list of every HBCU football classic that's happening throughout the season. That's at every level. That's the Division I, that's the Division II, and even the NAIAs. Yes, NAIAs have HBCU classics. So check that list out on hbcusports.com. But here we're going to be talking about the D2s, and we might give a little bit of a preview of the NAIA classics, just because we do cover. And I forgot to say that for those who are new here. We have this. This is this show, Better Than Less Than podcast. We talk about the Division II and NAIA HBCU. So all of the things that are going on, but from the CIAA, the SIAC, the HBCUAC. You're going to get that here. And also we talk about our independent HBCUs at the Division II and the NAIA level, like Lincoln, Missouri, like West Virginia State, like Zula, like Langston, and dang, I'm blanking on the, but you get the point. All of the Division II and NAIA HBCUs, that's going to be talked about here. We also have a show where we talk about the MEAC, with the MEAC and more with Chris Stevens, where he breaks down, obviously, the MEAC and the independent HBCUs at the Division I level, like North Carolina A&T, like Tennessee State, and Hampton. So if you need your fixture, that kind of content, you can go to the MEAC and more. He usually has his show on Wednesdays. And then we have the SWAC Page podcast, where we obviously talk about the SWAC. That's hosted by Ken Rashad and Kendrick Marshall. They do their show whenever they want because they the bosses. But when they do usually do it, they usually do it on Fridays. But here we talk about Division II and NAIA, and I think I've wasted enough of your time. Let's get into it. Every HBCU football classic at the Division II level coming in the 2025 season. Let's just start with all of the Labor Day classics. All right. Before I get into breaking down all of the classics in the Division II at the Division II level this season, let me just say this. Can we be more creative with the names of our classics, please? Like, it's really ridiculous how many how many classics have the name Labor Day Classic? And it's really confusing me because it's let me just read to y'all all of the Labor Day Classics that are happening. I'm gonna just say all of them, not just at the Division II level. I'm gonna say all of them that are happening in general. You have the Week 0 Labor Day Classic between Clark Atlanta and Valdosta State. You have the Hope Labor Day Classic between Jackson State and Hampton. You have the Week 0 Labor Day Classic, that's a series. It's a double header, but they have Clark Atlanta and Valdosta State in the first one. Then the other one is Fort Valley State and West Alabama. Both of those games will be playing in Birmingham. Then you have another Labor Day Classic between Fayetteville State and Benedict. And then you have the main Labor Day Classic that everybody knows, which is Texas Southern and Prairie View A&M. Come up with more creative names, please. Can we please? We could have called it the Kickoff Classic. We could have called it the Welcome Back to Football Classic. We could have called it the Drumline Classic. Something more creative. Like, there's no reason why there should be 5 games that are all called the Labor Day Classic. Let's differentiate the names, please. Because if somebody said, hey, I'm going to the Labor Day Classic, nobody knows what game you're talking about because there's multiple games called the Labor Day Classic. Like, let's be creative. No disrespect to anybody. Like, I mean, obviously this has nothing to do with Texas Southern and Prairie View A&M because they cornered the market on Labor Day Classics. They've been doing this the longest. But come on, man. Let's come up with some more creative names. But anyway, rant aside, let's talk about the doubleheader of the Week 0 Labor Day Classic. We start off with Clark Atlanta and Valdosta State, and then later on in the afternoon, you have Fort Valley State and West Alabama. I like this series. I really like this series. It's definitely going to be a test for both teams. Clark Atlanta going against a Valdosta State team that just made it to the national championship game last year, and Fort Valley State going against the West Alabama team that's always a fixture in the D2 playoffs. They are always going to be a team that is dangerous, and they've been a fixture against HBCU football teams in recent years. West Alabama has, both of these teams have been a thorn in the side of HBCUs in the past couple of years. Them along with, West Florida has been a team that we've faced numerous times. Wingate has been another team that we've faced numerous times. So I think this is a great game to prepare both of these teams in Clark Atlanta and Fort Valley State to play against some of the best at the D2 level that aren't in the CIAA out of conference, the best out of conference D2 teams. So I'm curious to see what kind of long-term effect these games could have. If they continue this series going forward, and you get more HBCUs involved against teams in the Gulf. What is it? The Gulf Coast Conference? I think that the Valdosta and West Alabama is that what West Alabama is in. So I think this series could be something that we could continue going forward, So I would love to see, teams like Tuskegee get involved in a series like this. I would love to see Winston Salem State get involved, in games like this, to really push the both leagues forward, the CIAA and the SIAC. I think this would be great for CIAA and SIAC to really branch out more and do games that really push us in the first week of the season, so that we can set the tone for what the year is going to be like. And that I think that it'll really help us come postseason time. So, and it's a marquee game that, even though it's not going to be nationally televised or nothing like that, but like it's a game that will really push push our limits and really let us know where these teams are as we start the season. You're never going to know who's going to be a contender from game one. You're not always going to know who's going to be a contender from game one, but this is a great start in figuring out who's going to be that team to really set the pace for what the season is going to be like. Shout out to WSSU Ram Nation. He says the CIAA needs to create rivalries in its own Yeah, you right. You right. Should only. Yeah, you right. Yeah, and we'll get to that because there are some. There are. I don't think. Yeah, we'll get to that. But and we have another Labor Day Classic to talk about. We have Fayetteville State against Benedict. Now these are two teams that are sleepers in their respective conferences. Fayetteville State had a down season by their standards. I mean, down season by anybody's standards, but they had their 8-season CIAA championship streak, CIAA championship game appearance streak. To be clear, they didn't win 8 straight CIAA championships. They did win 1, but they made it to 8 straight CIAA championship games. But that streak, 7 straight. They made it to 7 straight CIAA championship games, but that streak was ended last season. They finished, I believe, 4-5 and 3-4 in conference play. And they went up against a Benedict team that had their 2 consecutive SIAC championship game. The SIAC championship win streak ended after their coach Chennis Berry moved on to South Carolina State, and he did what he did in the MEAC in his first season there, winning the MEAC title. So both of these teams are trying to get back into championship form. And if you can hear, I'm congested. Please, I hope that's not a distraction to you guys. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm trying to go through it. But so Fayetteville State and Benedict, I think this is going to be a very good game. These are 2 gritty teams, very good defensive teams, and I expected this to be a hard-fought bout. I think this is going to be a very fun game to watch. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope that it's accessible to watch, and that people are able to see this game, because this is a game that needs to be televised. The CIAA Sports Network has done a great job in terms of broadcasting. That there's not as many errors as you would think that there would be, with the network. It tends to work very well consistently. So, but obviously you need in order to watch it on TV, you gotta have, I think it's Roku. I think you have to watch the CIAA Sports Network on TV, or maybe I'm thinking of some other sports network. There's a bunch of them, so I get them all confused. But but this is a game that is worthy of being on television. I would have loved for this game to have been on the grill. Like that's how good I think this game could be. But so Fayetteville State and Benedict, I think that's going to be a very good game. Sneaky contender for a game of the weekend. I really think that could be a game of the weekend. That even though it's more of a defensive, these 2 teams are known more for their defensive efforts. So it's probably maybe not game of the weekend, but it's definitely going to be one that's going to be fun to watch. Next up, we have the Detroit Football Classic. That's going to be played between Central State and Kentucky State. Is there a few to watch? CIAA Sports that I'm not sure what question you're asking. Can you clarify that question for me so I can do my best to answer that? I'm not sure what that question. What question you're asking, but Central State and Kentucky State, these are 2 teams that there's not a lot of hype surrounding them. Oh, is there a fee? No, there's no fee to watch the CIAA Sports Network. I think there used to be, but I don't think there is now. Especially during football season, there's no fee during this. I know for sure there's no fee during football season. But yeah, Central State is a team that they're entering their first season under Tony Carter, and we talked about all the in the past couple of weeks to all the coaches that they've added to their staff. They've added 3 former NFL veterans to their staff in San Antonio Holmes, Leon Washington, and Quentin Demps. So that's a team that could be one of the more improved programs going forward with all that talent, all that NFL talent they have on their coaching staff. And then you got Central State, who's underachieved to a large degree under Felton Huggins as head coach. This is going to be a make or break year for Kentucky State and Felton Huggins, but he has some talent coming in. You know, the Torrance Bartle, who was a standout performer for Langston last year, he's now on Kentucky State. That was one of the more under the radar signings from that, because there's a lot of people who thought up until this week that Torrance Bartle was at Langston. No, he's at Kentucky State now. So that, I think that's a big acquisition for Kentucky State. And we can see a much better Kentucky State than we've seen in the past couple of years. I wouldn't hold my breath on that, but who knows? I think this Torrance Bartle kid is very talented. Let me not call him a kid. He's a grown man, but I think this game could be. It's an SIAC game, so it's always going to be fun to watch. But there's not much expectation from these two teams to be good going forward. But hopefully they put forth a good outing. And this Detroit Football Classic is not just a one-off. This is something that we can continue going forward, and we can get more teams involved. And because we need games like this to do well, so that we can extend the scope of HBCU football. You know what I mean? We have games in New York now, and we'll get to a classic at the Division II level that will be in New York. We gotta have we're having games in Las Vegas. You know, we got the, even though that's not a Division II game, it's a Jackson State and Grambling. It'll be great to have HBCU football extended to Las Vegas. You know, to have games that teams that don't usually play in certain places and have success in those places to extend that exposure. And we can extend, our student, extending our recruiting base with these, if these games, Jesus Christ, I can't talk. These games doing well could play a small part in extending our recruiting base. You know what I mean? Hopefully we could have a game in Boston. That'd be great. You have a game in the Patriots Stadium. You know what I mean? So I hope that this game does well. These are two teams that have a chip on their shoulder. Nobody's expecting them to have any kind of success this season, and hopefully that lights a fire under him, and we get a great game out of it. Next up, we have the Essence HBCU Classic. This is between Johnson C. Smith and Morehouse. There you go. That's just URAM Nation said. Johnson C. Smith and Morehouse is in Boston this year. That's what this game is, the Essence HBCU Classic. And you got one of the most anticipated teams in this upcoming season, and Johnson C. Smith playing against Morehouse. Johnson C. Smith, we've been talking about Johnson C. Smith for weeks. There's no need to continue to talk about it. We all know what the expectation for Johnson C. Smith is, and they're going against a Morehouse team that doesn't exactly have those same expectations. This is a Morehouse team that, for lack of better words, have not been good in the past couple of years. They've been a team that, outside of playing with effort, it has not led to wins. So they have a big chip on their shoulder. I believe they were picked to finish second to last in the SIAC this year. So there's not much expected of them. So they're going into this game expecting to get steamrolled, against a Johnson C. Smith team that had the off season for an ages, that had a bit of their offseason mystique. Oh, bold prediction. Johnson C. Smith takes a big step back. That's interesting. That's interesting. We found out recently that Armand Harris, who had recently committed to Johnson C. Smith, he went back to Clark Atlanta. So that greatness that was expected of Johnson C. Smith this season took the expectation kind of took a little bit of a step back now. I still think they have a very talented roster. I still look at them as one of the favorites to win the CIAA this year, but it's not as cut and dry as maybe before we knew that Armand Harris was not there anymore. So is that right? Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see how that impacts Johnson C. Smith this season. Then I know one thing. They better hope. I hope that Kelvin Durham is still there, because if Kelvin Durham ain't there, then my expectation for Johnson C. Smith took a big hit. I know that's one person that if he's not there, then this is going to be a problem. But anyway, back to the Classic, the Essex HBCU Classic. First of all, creative name, very creative name, and it's two teams that are a part of the essence of HBCU lore. In Johnson C. Smith and Morehouse, more Morehouse than Johnson C. Smith. Not Johnson C. Smith isn't a name that you immediately think of when you think HBCU. So I think this is great to get their name out there. Wow. Okay. All righty. We're gonna have to have a conversation about Johnson C. Smith. All right. But that aside, this is a game that would be big for Johnson C. Smith to get his name out there. Everybody knows about Morehouse. They know about that. When you think HBCUs, Morehouse is one of the first names you say. Not in terms of sports, unfortunately, but in general, you think of Morehouse is one of the first names you think of, along with Spelman, along with Howard, along with Jackson State and Florida A&M. So this is Johnson C. Smith's chance to increase their profile and get their name out there, so that they can be one of those schools that you talk about when you think HBCUs. So I hope I just really love the name, the Essence HBCU. I love that, and it's in a place that isn't familiar, that I'd assume isn't too familiar with HBCU football. So again, this is another opportunity for HBCU athletics to extend its profile, and for HBCUs as a whole to extend its recruiting base in terms of the student body, in addition to the student athlete body. So yeah, the HBCU Essence HBCU Classic between Johnson C. Smith and Morehouse. Let's move on to the games that will be taking place on Sunday of the first week of the season. We have the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic between Virginia Union and Miles. I believe this is the 6th year of the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic, and it'll once again be taking place between the two reigning conference champions, Virginia Union and Miles. Last year it was one of the defending champions in Benedict against Virginia State, but this year we have both of the defending champions of Virginia Union and Miles. And I like that little wrinkle that they put in with the two defending champions having that game. But yeah, Virginia Union, they're this will be their first game post Jada Byers, and this will be Miles' first game post Sam Shade. Jada Byers is embarking on a career in the pros. Recently signed with a team in the UFL, the United Football Conference, and Sam Shade moved on from Miles to Alabama A&M. So we'll see what both of those teams are like. But I think the most important thing is that I love the fact that this series gives these guys a chance to play in a storied stadium like the Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, like being able to see the Hall of Fame bus, being able to see the Hall of Fame jerseys, and be able to walk through the halls, and like that's got to be a motivation that you just don't usually get on a week 3, week 4 game. That's not any kind of motivation you get in any other game. Like, this is different. Like, being able to see the Black College Football Hall of Famers of this year get honored. Being able to see the stand on a stadium that is synonymous with greatness in football. You know what I mean? That's what I love the most about this series, is the experience that these players get from this game. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and it's between two teams that have, one has championship aspirations and another is going to be an underdog this season, with their former head coach leaving, and Miles, so we'll see how that game turns out. The last year didn't turn out well for Benedict. Virginia State put it on them. In the last couple of years that it's been CIAA versus SIAC in the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic, it's been the CIAA that's taken home the win. Virginia Union a couple of years ago beat up on Central State in this game. So the SIAC trying to get their get back, but I don't know if this is going to be the year for them to do that. So, and then we have, to conclude the first week, the Red Tails Classic. This is between Winston-Salem State and Tuskegee. Excuse me 1 second. Everyone knows about the Red Tails. This game is in honor of the Tuskegee Airmen. Tuskegee is going to be a fixture in this game, obviously. And before, it used to be Tuskegee and Fort Valley State highlighting this game, but now the classic has branched out to be Tuskegee versus the CIAA kind of classic. Last year, they were unsuccessful against Johnson C. Smith, and this year, they're trying to get back in the win column in this game against Winston-Salem State. Okay, WSSU Ram Nation. But I really love this game, and that they have been branching out to the CIAA, and that they had that Tuskegee hasn't kept this SIAC versus SIAC thing. I love that they are branching out into making this a out of conference type of game. I really love that, So I think it's great in terms of getting both conference a nationally televised game to really show that the Division II level has talent at the HBCU level. Everybody talks about the SWAC and the MEAC, more SWAC than MEAC, but they talk about the SWAC and the MEAC as if those are the only conferences at the HBCU level. But the Red Tails Classic has been arguably the most exciting game from open the week of the season. So I really think that this could be the game of the weekend. This right here could be the game of the weekend, because the Red Tails Classic has never disappointed in the years that I've been watching it, and the years that it's been in existence. It has not been. It has been one of the most exciting games of the year, and I don't think this year will be any different. These are two teams that are trying to get back into championship form, have not been in the championship game in quite a long time. So they have that kind of chip on their shoulder. So we'll see what happens in this one. We're gonna have to speed things up because there's a lot of classics that we have to get through. There's a lot of Division II HBCU football classics. So next one we're gonna talk about here is, let me get it up on the screen for you. It is the Eddie McGirt Classic between Johnson C. Smith and Valdosta State. This will be the conclusion of the doubleheader for Valdosta State against HBCUs. We talked about them playing in the Week 0 HBCU Classic against Clark Atlanta. Then they're going to transition right into the Eddie McGirt Classic with Johnson C. Smith. Yeah, I think this will be a great game for between two teams that are expected to be in the uh, HBC, excuse me, the Division II playoff picture come November. So, and by the way, this game is in honor of Eddie McGirt, who was a former football coach at Johnson C. Smith in the late 50s and until the 70s, and he was the coach of the team during their last CIAA championship win in, I believe, 1968 or 1969. So, yeah, Johnson C. Smith, Valdosta State should be an exciting one. Two top contending teams in the at the Division II level. So, yeah, we'll see how that game turns out. Next up, we have the Sunshine Showdown between Clark Atlanta and Florida Memorial. These two teams played each other to a 28-28 tie. So this is basically just going to be a continuation, except the score is going to start 0-0. It's not going to reset 28-28. No, they're going back to 0-0, and they're starting all over. So should be an exciting one. Clark Atlanta comes into the season, second season under Teddy Keaton, trying to get back to the SIC championship game. Defied expectations last year, making a I wouldn't say shocking SIC championship run, a shocking run to the SIC championship game, but they definitely defied expectations. And the expectation for them is much different this year. And yeah, they're going against the Florida Memorial team that was, until the game got canceled, was playing them pretty good, and they had them in danger of losing that one. So yeah, this is not just because Florida Memorial's in the NAIA, it doesn't mean that they can't give them a good test. They are. I don't think that they have Walter Wilbon this year, who was one of their top running backs, one of Florida Memorial's top running backs. So maybe a little bit more difficult. And this Florida Memorial, this will be I believe, their second game without Bobby Rome. So yeah, but that still do not discount Florida Memorial, because they definitely are good enough to get a win over Clark Atlanta. Next up, we have the Battle of the States. Now, this is going to be a FCS versus Division II classic. We have a couple of those on this list. It'll be Norfolk State against Virginia State. And for those who know about this series, this has been one of the most exciting series, one of the most exciting Division II versus FCS rivalries at the HBCU level. Both of these teams that played each other to a tie in their last two matchups. 2 years ago, Virginia State won an unlikely game, one of the more exciting finishes that you will see to an HBCU game or a football game in general. One of the most exciting finishes that you will see to any game. And last year, Norfolk State got their revenge and won a close outing. I believe it was 28-23. The final score was. This year, this will be Michael Vick's first installment of this game. So we'll see how Dr. Henry Frazier and the Trojans contend with the Spartans, who will have a lot of hype around them. There will be a lot of eyes on this game, so it behoove for Virginia State to bring their A game to really show that, the CIAA got some talent. And this for those who are thinking this could be an upset, they've done it before. So this would not be an upset. This would just be more of what we've already seen from Virginia State against Norfolk State. But next up, we have the Dub C. Gordon Classic. This is another Division I versus Division I versus Division II, Division I FCS versus Division II Classic. This is between Jackson State and Tuskegee. This game is in honor of Dub C. Gordon, who was the coach of Jackson State from, I believe, 1976 to 1991. I might be getting those years wrong, but he was the coach for Jackson State for 15 years, was an assistant before that, notably was an assistant during the years of Walter Payton on the team, and led the team to multiple SWAC championships in his time and some Black college football national championships while he was there. So this game is in honor of him. With all of our SWAC fans know, Jackson State is going to be one of the favorites to win the SWAC this year, and they're going against the Tuskegee team, trying to get back in the championship form in the SIC. So a tough test for Tuskegee against the Jackson State team was with an offense loaded with talent. So hopefully this is a close one. That's all I can really say about that one. But and to complete the trilogy of Division One FCS Classic, Division One FCS versus Division Two Classics, we have the HBCU NY Classic. This is between Howard and Morehouse. This game is played at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. Did I say that right? East Rutherford, New Jersey. So so Howard and Morehouse, this has been a series that has been around for, I think, since we came back from the pandemic. This has been a series that has been going on between these two teams, and these are two teams that don't exactly have the most expectations on them going into the year. So there's not expected to be much of an impact that they could potentially have on this game going down the road during the season. But it should be an exciting game. It gets us into a market like New York, so hopefully both of these teams take full advantage of the perks of this game, and they're able to promote themselves in the classic going forward, and it becomes a big thing to where we can extend to more schools becoming a part of the HBCU NY Classic, and we don't just limit it to Howard and Morehouse. I really, when I say that, extending the scope of the game, like I don't want our classics to just be one dimensional to where just two teams be a part of it. Like there are some games where that historical that two historical games that there are some historical games like the Boombox Classic, with like the Florida Classic, like the Labor Day Classic, like the Magic City Classic that you don't touch. But these newer games, like the HBCU NY Classic, like the Sunshine Showdown, like the Essence HBCU Football Classic, like those are games that we're trying to get up off the ground. And it'll be great to be able to branch out and get more teams involved in that to really extend the scope of the game. Like, yeah, you're right. Boombox Classic isn't a classic, but it's just a name that popped in my head. But anyway, like there's historical games that you can't change, but those newer ones, to get those off the ground, let's get multiple HBCUs involved in those to really, to increase the lore of HBCU football. Shout out to D2 HBCU Football Guy for the donation. Really appreciate it. Please hit that super chat. We would love to hear you, and put your input on these games in the comments. Let me know what D2 HBCU Football Classics you're looking forward to watching this season. Up next, we have, hold on a second. We have the HBCU Unity Classic. This is between Virginia Union and Edward Waters. We already talked about Virginia Union, a team that's moving on from the Jada Byers era. No need to expound on that any further. But we have Edward Waters, who is entering the season under interim coach. Lord have mercy, I get my names mixed up. Brian Jenkins Sr. Brian Jenkins Sr., who will be unexpectedly taking over as interim coach after the unexpected departure of Toriana Morgan, who is now at Tennessee State. He's an assistant at Tennessee State. So Edward Waters up against it, and what will be against the two-time reigning CIAA champions, and apparently have Eric Dooley on their staff now. So that's a big time acquisition for the Edward Waters coaching staff. So we'll see what kind of impact that can have on them this season and in this game. HBCU Unity Classic. I'm not sure where that game will be played. Hold on a second. Let me do a quick Google search. We're going to do this live. The HBCU Unity Classic will be in Glover Community Field, and that will be. Hold on a second. We're doing this live. We are doing this live. Oh, it's on Edward Waters' home field. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, Edward Waters and Virginia Union in the HBCU Unity Classic on Edward Waters' home field. I would have really loved for that to be a mutual site game. So, but HBCU Unity Classic, Virginia Union and Edward Waters should be an exciting one. Next up, we have one of the more classic HBCU classics at the Division II HBCU level. This is the Down East Viking Classic. This is between Fayetteville State and Elizabeth City State. Now, this is one where we talk about. Let me go back to that comment from WSSU Ram Nation, where he talked about CIAA rivalries needing to be. Where he talked about CIAA rivalries needing to be. There need to be more rivalries within the conference. Like, this is a game that's been around for a while. This has been a game that's been around for a while, but it's not talked about a lot. Like this and another classic that we'll get to down the line. That is, by the way, the first, spoiler alert, it's the first HBCU football game ever. And it's not, that rivalry isn't talked about enough. Mainly because the teams haven't been good for a long time. But like when you gotta enter, you had two teams that for a long time were in the same conference. They're in the same state, and we don't talk about this classic enough. Like, and a lot of that is on the teams as well, because Elizabeth City State hasn't been good in a very long time. But I would really love for classics like this that have been around for as long as it has to really be talked about more. That's on the teams, that's on us as fans, that's on us as talking heads to really make this game more important and to really get its name out there. But Down East Viking Classic, this contested between Fayetteville State and Elizabeth City State. I really want this to be a great game so that we can get its name out there, because this is one of the OG HBCU football classics at the Division II level. And this needs to be, we just need to get it out there, So next up, we talk about a unique classic. You have the Prince Hall Americanism Classic. Now, I didn't have enough time to do some research on what the meaning of this game was. This is the second year that I've seen this game. This year to be between Miles and Savannah State. I only remember them doing this last year. I think it was Central State and Miles last year. Don't quote me on that, but this is the second year that this game will be played. This game will be interesting. This is between two teams who are sleepers in the SIAC this year, in Miles and Savannah State. So very interesting game. I'm not sure where it'll be played. I'd assume to be on Savannah State's campus, but I'm not sure. But Prince Hall Americanism Classic in what I believe to be its second year. I'm not sure how long it's been around, but I've only seen it in the past 2 years. So we'll see what that one has to offer. Next up, we have another game that I believe is in its second year, and that is, hold on a second, the Frederick Douglass Classic. This will be between Central State and Lane. This is another HBCU Classic that'll be contested in New York. Um, so last year, I believe the Frederick Douglass Classic was between Albany State and Central State. This year, it'll be Central State and Lane. Two teams that, again, have a huge chip on their shoulders. Not much is expected from them. So that should put a chip on their shoulder for them to put forth an exciting outing in this one. So, yeah. And looks like the Frederick Douglass Classic is going to be one that sticks around for a while, and it'll be this will be the SIEC's game to build and to grow. So, yeah, Central State and Lane in this year's Frederick Douglass Classic, and we'll see what kind of performance they can put forth. Next up, we have one of the more famous classics in HBCU lore. It is the Circle City Classic. This year, it'll be between Morgan State and Miles, another one of those FCS versus Division II HBCU classics. Morgan State, they are coached by one of the legends in Division II HBCU football in Damon Wilson. So he'll be stepping back down to Division II level to take on Miles, who we've talked about extensively. So we all know about the Circle City Classic, played in Indianapolis. Excuse me. One of those games that are very unpredictable. I don't like the fact that this game isn't televised like it should be. Like in the past couple of years, I don't think the Circle City Classic's been televised. It's been available to watch. So, and you got a game. This game has been around for 20 plus years. So I don't understand why the Circle City Classic has been available to watch, even on YouTube or something, nothing like that. I haven't been able to watch, like, every year I look to see where you can go to watch the Circle City Classic, and I haven't been able to. Like, this is a game that's been around for 20 plus years that not many people who are getting into HBCU football in recent years will know about. Like, let's get these games that are essential to HBCU football. Let's get them televised so we can spread the information about the games and let people know about these classics and why they're so important to the fabric of HBCU sports. All right, come on, guys. Circle City Classic organizers. Let's get this game televised. I know that you probably ain't got nothing to do with that, but still. But next up, we have the SC HBCU Classic. This is between Benedict and Allen. And as far as I'm concerned, I believe this is the first year that they are in this game with it being called the SC HBCU Classic. So I believe these two teams will be starting a new trend of the SC HBCU Classic. I'm not sure if they'll be playing in a mutual stadium, because I believe Allen plays their home games on a high school football stadium. So I don't know if this will be a mutual site game or if they're going to be playing on the field that Allen usually plays on during their home games. But yeah, the SC HBCU Football Classic looks like Benedict and Allen are trying to start a trend, and I hope that I hope it goes well and that this continues for them. Next up, we have one of the more creative names for an HBCU Classic that you will ever see. The most original name that you will see for an HBCU Classic, the Tuskegee and Morehouse Classic. This is the actual name of the classic, the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic. You go to Tuskegee's website, it's called the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic. You go to Morehouse's website, it's the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic. Going back to what I said about the Labor Day Classic, can we be original? Can we put out something creative? Something original and creative. Is that so hard? Tuskegee Morehouse Classic, really? This might as well just be a regular season, the most generic regular season game. Why put this name on it if you're not going to do something creative with it? Y'all couldn't think of nothing creative to say other than the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic? Y'all got me sounding like a grumpy old man complaining, but come on, man. We got to think of better names than this. This is so lazy. This is lazy. Like, we couldn't have thought of a better name than this. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, Tuskegee and Morehouse, 2 fixtures in the SIAC. Should be an exciting game. Next, we're gonna get back into the creative names for classics. Next up, we have the Good Trouble Heritage Classic. This is between Fort Valley State and Savannah State. So this is a game between 2 teams that are going to be, I keep saying this, but 2 teams that are going to be in the picture for the SIC championship this year. In Fort Valley State may not be at the top of the standings come November, but they will be 2 teams that will be within striking distance. So Fort Valley State, they're moving on from Sean Gibbs. They're in their season since moving on from Sean Gibbs. And Savannah State, there's been a team that in the past couple of years has been in the middle of the pack. So we'll see, if Savannah State is able to make that push to into becoming a championship contender, and really, really gets from that log jam in the middle of the SIC, because there's a lot of teams in that. And so Savannah State, Fort Valley State, and the Good Trouble Heritage Classic. Next, we have the Caribbean HBCU Puerto Rico Bowl. This is one of the rare D2 HBCU versus out of conference Division II, non-HBCU Division II football team. We have Kentucky State versus Franklin Pierce. Don't know much about Franklin Pierce. I'm not gonna lie to you, but this is a great opportunity for Kentucky State to play a long way from home. So it's always great to see when teams can play outside of their. We normally see this in basketball, where teams are playing are able to play in games out of the country or in U.S. territories outside of the 50 states. So I think this is great. I think this is great for Kentucky State. This will be a great experience for them, and hopefully the game is good too. All right, now we're getting into the classics that are the foundation of Division II HBCU football. First up, we have the Fountain City Classic between Albany State and Fort Valley State. This game has some championship implications on it. Last year, Fort Valley State needed to win this game in order to clinch a spot in the SIC championship game, but Albany State played spoiler and beat up on Fort Valley State to keep them out of the championship game and allow Clark Atlanta to swoop in and get into the SIC championship game. Shout out to my mama. She put up a super chat, and we ain't talking about Division Ones, but thank you for the super chat, Mom. But the Fountain City Classic. The Fountain City Classic between Albany State and Fort Valley State. This could very well have some championship implications on it, as it has for the past couple of seasons. These are 2 teams that are fixture in the championship picture. It bears repeating, but Albany State has not had a losing season since 2001, and that is not talked about enough. This is a team that has been the poster boy for consistency at the Division II level. And yeah, I expect this game to be a, a must. This is a must see game. All of these games that I'm about to get into, and what will be these. And by the way, these next 4 games are going to be in the last week of the regular season. So all of these games are games that you must see. So next up we have the Commemorative Classic. This is the other game that should be bigger than what it is. You talk about the oldest HBCU football rivalry in Johnson C. Smith and Livingstone. Johnson C. Smith and Livingstone played in the first HBCU football game. I forget the year, but the first HBCU football game. And this classic does not feel as important as it should. This should be bigger. This should be a bigger game. I don't understand why this does not get the press. I don't understand why this does not. It has to do with the teams too, because a couple of years ago, this game ended in a way that it should not have. We're not going to go too deep into that, but this game, the importance of this game is beyond any of the Division II classics, any of the classics in general. We're talking about the oldest HBCU football rivalry. Shout out to my sister who hit the super chat. Look at all my family hitting in the super chat. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate the support of my family in the chat. But back to the Commemorative Classic. This game, and this is another game that had playoff implications last year. Johnson C. Smith needed to win 1 game to get into the CIAA, championship game, and Livingstone played spoiler. So Johnson C. Smith is coming into this game looking for some revenge as well. So not only do you have the historic factor of this being the oldest HBCU football rivalry, but you have a storyline to go with it. Let's get this out there. Let's talk about this more. Like there's no reason why this should not be talked about up there with the Red Tails Classic, with the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic, like with the Fountain City Classic. The Fountain City Classic is talked about more than this. And it's because the teams have been better in the recent years. But now both of these teams are two that are in their respective conferences championship picture. So, yeah, I want these teams, I want us as an HBCU community to really talk about this game more, because it has been must-see TV in the past couple of years, and it'll be that this year as well. Next up, we have one of the more unsung classics in HBCU football, the AME Football Classic. This is between Edward Waters and Allen, 2 teams that have recently transitioned into the SIAC and has performed above expectation in their first couple of years in the SIAC. Both had down years last year. Allen was moving on from Teddy Keaton, and Edward Waters, they had some roster turnover last year that hindered their success from last year. Most notably, Jerron Russell, who was the quarterback. He went on to pursue a career in the pros. And Nate Rembert, who was a receiver on that Edward Waters team, he went to Mississippi Valley State and is now at Jackson State. So Edward Waters and Allen are both trying to recover from what was a pretty good first season in the SIAC for them respectively. And so yeah, the AME Football Classic, just one of the more unsung HBCU classics, especially in what will be the final week of the season, because this last classic from what will be the last week of the regular season is a doozy, and that is the Battle of the AUC. This is between Clark Atlanta and Morehouse. This game featured on First Take last year when First Take came to the AUC and hosted a live show of First Take on that campus, and had Shannon Sharp, Stephen A, and Cam Newton down there fellowshipping with the community in Atlanta down there. So this is this game is big in Atlanta. So me, I don't have to complain about this game being more important than it is because Atlanta goes up for this game. So, but yeah, Clark Atlanta and Morehouse. Clark Atlanta are hoping this game will be another one that catapults them into the SIAC championship game, and Morehouse is trying to end their losing streak in this one. Well, I don't think it's a streak because I think they just lost last year. But anyway, yeah, one of the more intense rivalries between the two teams down there in Atlanta, and yeah, should be a good one. And we go to the final classic at the Division II level. Well, technically at the Division II level, which is the Turkey Day Classic, and that is a game between Alabama State and Tuskegee. This is a traditional. One of the more traditional games. Tuskegee recently got back into this game after a brief hiatus. Since I know specifically since the pandemic, they've gotten back into this game. Had a win has been hard to come by for them in this one, so they're trying to get in the win column in this one against the Alabama State team, who is always in the picture in the SWAC but have not been able to get over that hump. So they'll have a bit of a chip on their shoulder in this one, hoping that this game will be a warm up for the SWAC championship game. But yeah, Turkey Day Classic played on Thanksgiving Day, obviously, and this is yeah. I'm not sure what more I need to say. So that was every HBCU football classic that's happening at the Division II level. If I had to say 3 games that I believe that should be on your bucket list to watch this season, I would say the Red Tails Classic between Winston-Salem State and Tuskegee. That'll be on August 31st, on the first week of the season. That game will be on ESPN2 or ESPNU. No, ESPNU. Red Tails Classic between Winston-Salem State and Tuskegee on ESPNU. Then I'd say the Fountain City Classic between Albany State and Fort Valley State, where you could watch that is to be determined, but that'll be on the last week of the season on November 8th. And I'd say the Commemorative Classic between Johnson C. Smith and Livingstone. Again, more than likely that one will be on the CIAA Sports Network, but we'll get the details, when they are made available. And a sleeper is one of the many Labor Day classics, but the one I'm talking about is Fayetteville State and Benedict. I think that could be a sleeper game. That's a game that I think that don't be surprised if that's a game of the weekend contender in the opening week of the season, because these are two teams that have a chance to really muck some things up. M-U-C-K, muck some things up in their respective conferences. So don't be surprised if that game is better than advertised. But that's going to be the end of this video, this very, very long video. Lord have mercy, this was long. But thank you guys for watching, sticking with me. If you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to become a level 1, 2, or 3 member so you can get all the exclusive content from the HBCU Sports team. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Search up HBCU Sports on all of them, and more than likely we will be there. And you can always go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news in sports. And please donate to HBCU. Go to hbcusports.com/donate to support the cause. This is a lot. This is a lot, guys. But I appreciate you guys sticking it out with me. Until next time, see you guys.